This world is a motherfucking paradox. It wouldn't be shit if there wasn't some type of conduit of particular different types of arrays of vessels to infuse the world and transfer the world with something of such a quote unquote concept end quote and a conduit of something of pure energy. Because at the core of it all, everything thrives off some type of pure energy. So within that, it's like all of this competition shit, it's just really aloof and illusory because all of it is coming from one source, and that source is hidden intentionally on intelligence beyond all of these intelligences to make it so it's hidden in the land, in the world of dualities and polarities, and we dance upon those fabricated artificial constructs of dualities and polarities, and God's karma is brutal and immense upon that because people within their own station of how their life is sitting on their own platform of their nation, and however they spawned their incarnation from their soul to wherever the fuck their soul came from to wherever the fuck they're at now, that's quote unquote mother flipping God's mechanics end quote, because you can't say everything is just entirely by random. No, God's mechanics are putting into place the particular mechanisms and constructs for how Earth and 3D is to be what it is. Because what 3D is, it's a extreme mixture of heaven and hell. It's highlighting heaven and hell. It's like it's both. 3D could be heaven or 3D could be hell. It's the middle dimension, as I've said. And within that middle dimension, particular mechanisms will always do what they will do aside from the heaven and hell dynamic. So this world is a paradox because for the pure energy to come into the world, the mechanics and the mechanisms within the mechanics, they're the ones caretaking the vessels that give the pure energy for what it is. And there was another point I wanted to make too of just like, not for me just to go off on the paradox, but it is a paradox because it's a paradox because within the 3D people are focused on like ignorant things, So since they're focused on some portion, some percentage of ignorant things, then collectively that will proliferate. It will energetically distribute itself, and people, metaphorically, the people will take bait. There'll be fish to the bait, and they will take that bait, and they will entertain such non-paradox shit, something of a mundane thing, and they will be in such a state where well their unconscious will be hosting primarily ignorant energy. What is ignorant energy? Ignorant energy is not seeing the paradox for what it is because everything is backwards in the 3D due to the fact that people could have a surplus amount of material abundance but yet not know what to do with that, because that's just where their energy is at, and since that's happening, it's not necessarily exact that those people with material abundance, it's not necessarily exact that they're aware or they're spreading information about pure energy and non-ignorance type of issues, because the world, the main point here that I'm trying to bring home is the world really wouldn't be anything without pure energy, because on an unconscious to conscious level, we're all going back and we're all trying to thrive for pure energy, and the pure energy has been discolorated and refabricated for it to be quote unquote capitalized and kind of like reconfigured to to just be sold as some type of, miscellaneous product, right? Because that's what business is. It's like, you're trying to like use some type of energy to get more energy so you could make more energy, something of that nature. So within that, all of that happening, we're not necessarily seeing like the death effect. There's a death effect, and the death effect is highlighted in Scorpio season, Pluto. So within the new moon ceremony, I wrote the paper. I might show it today. I might show it soon. But like the ground basis of this, like, of this season, that could be put more focus towards is the death factor, the big transformation factor. And that transformation factor, a particular transformation factor of life and death, it it's more highlighted, and it's more highlighted in this season for however the seasons were put together. So within, as it's highlighted in the season, energetically, death will be more felt. It will be more experience, quote unquote, more experienced. It will be more known informatively, likewise. And within that, we might not have the informative likewise intel to know that death is more prominent in this season. So since death is more prominent this season and we don't know it, we could just be going through life not knowing why we feel the way we feel, or not knowing how things work. And if we don't know how things work, then we'll just be going through life unconsciously trying to get pure energy, fabricated desires. And then as we're trying to get some type of quote unquote pure energy, fabricated desires, the process of that could be totally warped, respectively. Shout out to the predecessors. And if we don't peep game to the warped process, then in the long term, the long haul, then there could be quote unquote there could be defects in the marathon, esoterically speaking. So within all of that being said, this life is a paradox, because the things that are bringing in pure energy, that's what's making the world be a fucking thing. That's the life itself of the fucking world, respectively. Because what else would be life in the world on an ongoing basis other than pure energy? So if pure energy is taken for granted, it's like God's putting it so that less material, somehow, fucking the extreme paradox, less material could be making more pure energy. So this is extreme paradox. And it's not necessarily, it's overcoming the mental everything, it's overcoming the mental strife. Because once we realize why things the way they are, then we could get over things more so. But that doesn't go to say that people are still going to be who the fuck they're going to be. And that doesn't go to say that people are still going to do what the fuck that they're going to do. And that doesn't go to say that people aren't or not, they are or not going to change. They could just be fixated in their own fucking emotional patterns and their flunked belief systems. That doesn't go to say that anybody's going to change, So since that doesn't go to say that anybody's going to change, it's just a hard, deep pill of it's brutal acceptance. That's all it really is, and tolerance. Because once we digest that, then we could truly not give a fuck about things. And once we truly not give a fuck about things, then we could, ironically, on an esoteric and emotional level, we could be more motherfucking comfortable, regardless the situation, most respectively. And once we get that comfort, then our individual fucking comfortable self, that could be a fucking beacon, igniter, candle to the other candle flames, where other people could actually fucking feel comfortable, right? So this is the real fucking, the deepest esoteric balance work. So within that, within all of that motherfucking being said, we're realizing that this life is a paradox, The pure energy within the 3D, it's quote unquote half and half, end quote. It's not necessarily being applauded that pure energy is being sourced and given, yet it's being taken, and the equal exchange and the reciprocation, it's not fair. That's the fucking paradox of 3D, most respectively. Because it's a paradox, because the life is the paradox, because the pure energy is being taken for granted. And if you're taking the pure energy for granted, then quote unquote you're just shitting on quote unquote God or the universe, end quote, energetically. And if you're doing that, it's like on a advanced intellectual level, you know, like, you know, experiments. Like, we're gonna see what happens with everything that we fucking do. We're gonna see in some type of future, eventually, 100 years from now, 50 years from now, 200 years from now, on a spiritual future, we're gonna see why we're in the situation that we're in. Particularly, what did we stand up for, you know? Like, why are we in, like, it's okay, maybe like a lot of this shit is my fault, you know, my me studying myself within my own human design. It's like, maybe like for some reason, like, you know, it takes a particular spiritual reason to get along with me, and if people don't get along with me, then they don't see the deep paradox of spirituality. Because the deep paradox of spirituality, it's to cultivate pure energy so the world could feel better on just a standard level. And that's me to me, you know. I'm not proving it to anybody else. I'm proving it for the fucking intelligence, you know. Like, I don't give a, like, a lot of these people are just like, a lot of people, like, that have, like, you know, flunked out mindsets. They're like, they're in disbelief because they have a standard level of accumulated ignorance, that they didn't know that this level of intelligence was possible, because they've accumulated some type of ignorance and trained behavior of just certain mind patterns where they didn't think this shit was possible. But shit is possible beyond what you could think, because the paradox of 3D life in this earth is, it's half and half. It's, there's just as much heaven as there's just as much hell, and there's just as much hell as there's just as much heaven. And I don't look at the camera because I just want to, like, focus. And but like, the paradox, but I'm just trying to, like, really ground in the idea of the paradox of life is like, we're barely in the beginning stages of the transition, and we're concluding the dark age. So since we're concluding the dark age, of course there's still going to be a bunch of ignorance in the mental and physical bodies. And that's the particular energetic transformation and discomfort to comfort that is a thing, because we're locked and rigid within the ignorance. We're accepting ignorance in our body and our mind. That's why, like, that is the transition itself, you know. So the paradox of life here is like, we're not necessarily understanding that pure energy is, it's the original commodity. And since it's the original commodity, we're doing business transactions off of portion to portion for it, and an illusion of it. So I'm gonna end it there. I'll do another video. So the purest so the original commodity is pure energy. And I'll come back on another video and show the chart later, because, like, obviously, like, I still got more, but like, I like, this video has been, you know, it's been concluded for what it is, you know. Thank you.